AFC Central defensive battle, and they're going to be blasting inside with Jerome Bettis, Eddie George, and it's going to be one on the lines, Gus, in the trenches today.
Tennessee won the first meeting in Pittsburgh. Coming up, Game 2.
National Football League from CBS Sports, home of Super Bowl 35.
Welcome to the AFC Central, the NFL's new black and blue division. The Tennessee Titans have won 7 straight and are the defending AFC champions. Their trademark is bruising play on both sides of the football. But beware of the Steelers, winners of 5 in a row. Pittsburgh is capable of some bone crunching of its own and has a proud tradition to boot. It's 2 teams playing the same smash mouth style. It's the Steelers and the Titans on CBS. It's the National Football League on CBS, week number 10. From Nashville, Tennessee, an AFC Central battle. The Steelers and Titans next.
Don't stop! Let's take it to the next level! Play hard today! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! Play hard today!
That was Eddie George moments ago. Steelers and the Titans are ready to go at it. The first game won by the Titans in Pittsburgh, 23-20. Steve McNair came off the bench and led the Titans into the end zone in the fourth quarter. But Bill Cowher's team, a much better team since that game. They've won 5 straight, started the season 0-3. He's in his 9th season as the head coach. On the other sideline, Jeff Fisher's squad, they've won 7 in a row. Longest winning streak in the NFL this year. Their only loss came during their season opener against the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee has won the toss. They'll receive. Derek Mason back deep. And this is Mason from the 15. Mason breaks it back. And Mason gets up to the 30-yard line. A gain of 15 for the AFC's leading kick returner. Meanwhile, Steve McNair in his 4th year as the starter here in Tennessee last week, 14 of 18, 96 yards and a touchdowns. Not overly impressive numbers, Brent, but he gets the job done. He's a winner.
Very efficient, Gus, and he's been making the throws, making the reads, hasn't been turning the ball over. You see him staying in the pocket a lot more this year on plays where he would have bounced out of the pocket last year. He's really maturing, feeling more comfortable in this passing offense.
So it brings up first down and 10 from the 31-yard line. Eddie George, the single setback, Chris Sanders in motion. And they give it to George over the left side, and Eddie barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. He may have gained 6 inches. Brent Alexander, the safety, who's a Nashville native, with the tackle. Offensively for the Titans, let's take a look. The great Bruce Matthews at left guard, along with Hopkins, Kevin Long, playing with the stinger, Benji Olsen and Fred Miller. The backs and receivers, Eddie George, during the offseason, signed a 7-year, $42 million contract. Mason and Sanders are the receivers with Frank Wycheck, the tight end. Second down and 10 from the 31. Sanders in motion. Steve McNair, he's completed 10 in a row, making 11. This is Wycheck underneath. Gets over the 35-yard line to the 37, a gain of 6. Earl Holmes, who leads the team in tackles with the stop. Defensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're 3rd in the NFL, 2nd in the AFC. They yield only 263 yards per game. They run a 3-4. Kimo von Oelhoffen in the middle with Smith and Kevin Henry. The linebackers, Joey Porter, the AFC defensive player for the month of October, and Chad Scott in Washington on the corners. Brent Alexander and Lee Flowers the safeties. Wycheck with the catch at the 40, close to a first down. A gain of 5. And what should we look forward to early on in this game, Brent?
Well,
for both of these teams.
I think a lot of Eddie George and a lot of Frank Wycheck. We've seen him go to Wycheck 2 times in a row. Wycheck, the cagey veteran tight end, knowing exactly where that first down is. Pittsburgh Steelers defense giving him too much cushion. You got to be up in his face, get a hold of him off the line, because Steve McNair's security blanket is Frank Wycheck.
Had an 18-yard touchdown on Monday against the Washington Redskins. First down from the 42. The pitch to George. And Eddie George gets to the 45-yard line. A gain of about 5.5 yards. Tripped up on the play by Kimo von Oelhoffen. But in the last 5 games, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense has been outstanding.
They have just dominated, Gus. I really think the rise is within their linebacking crew. They've got some lanes to run, make tackles, very physical. After you play the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know that you play the game. You feel physical. You feel beat for the next couple of days.
Steelers coming off a 9-6 win over Baltimore in Baltimore. 2nd and 7 from the 45. Play action, McNair sets up to the sideline. Knocked away. Great looking play by Joey Porter, the second-year man out of Colorado State. And when we talked to him yesterday, he says that he really feels that his confidence is getting better and better every day.
You're going to see him outside here in coverage on Derek Mason. Watch him outside, dropping off the line of the scrimmage right now. You see a little out and up by Mason. Has Porter beat. Steve McNair just caught him late, got some pressure, didn't get that ball downfield because there was no safety deep, Gus. They get that throw off earlier. Derek Mason is going the distance.
The AFC Defensive Player of the Month for October. 3rd down and 7 from the 45. They need to go to the 49 for a first down. Out of the shotgun, McNair. Underneath, it's caught, but short of the first down. Derek Mason with the reception. But the Steelers defense holds, and here comes the punt team for Tennessee.
And that's exactly what the Steelers defense wants to do. They gave up a few first downs, but tightened up, and that's what they've been doing these last 5 games in the win streak. They've given up a little yardage here and there, but they tighten up when they have to.
So Craig Hendrick standing at the 34-yard line. Courtney Hawkins back deep at the 11. Wobbly kick, end over end. And it's fielded at the 15, a 37-yard punt. So coming up, Cordell Stewart and the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. An electric atmosphere here in Tennessee. 66,000 fans in attendance. And the Titans have been awesome at home. They've won 11 straight. Pittsburgh trying to interrupt that streak right now. And the Steelers start first down and 10. At their own 15, Cordell Stewart, the quarterback. Jerome Bettis, the single setback. Stewart to pass on first down underneath, and it's caught. Hines Ward with the reception, a gain of 7. Denard Walker covering. So Cordell Stewart last week, 9 of 18, 133 yards versus Baltimore. He threw a 45-yard touchdown pass to Hines Ward, and Cordell told us yesterday he's going to start playing towards his strengths.
And his strengths, Gus, quarterback draws, some option, maybe a few shovel passes, play action pass, not 7-step drops. He's got to be 3- and 5-step drops, get the ball off quickly. You see right now he's changing the play. The noise here is deafening. They're communicating it down the line.
Bettis wrapped up and dropped for a loss. Kenny Holmes coming up and making the tackle. And this crowd already causing some problems for the Steelers. Offensively for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the big difference, Larry Tharp in at right tackle. He replaced Marvell Smith, and they started moving the file. Meanwhile, Jerome Bettis against Baltimore, 65 yards rushing on 18 carries. Prior to that, 3 100-yard games. 3rd down and 5 from the 20. They need to go to the 25 for a first down. On the draw play, Richard Huntley tiptoeing through the hole, and he gets to the 22. Randall Godfrey, the former Dallas Cowboy, with the tackle. He's the middle linebacker. Let's take a look quickly at the defense. Ranked 5th, 9th against the run, 4th against the pass. Curse, Thornton, Fisk, and Kenny Holmes. And the linebackers, Eddie Robinson, Godfrey, and Greg Favors. And the secondary, Samari Roll, 2 interceptions on Monday, 1 an 81-yard touchdown return. So Josh Miller inside his own 10, kicking it away. Mason over to the sideline, the hesitation, and he is spun down at the 33. A 47-yard punt to Shea Townsend with the special teams tackle.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Staples. Staples has everything you need at guaranteed low prices. American Express Small Business Services. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. And by E-Trade. It's your money.
A look at downtown Nashville and Coach Bill Cowher. He's done a great job this season helping his team, especially on the defensive side, Brent, force turnovers.
One of the best motivating coaches in the National Football League.
First down from the 34. McNair throws it. Eddie George breaks a tackle, keeps going, and gets over the 35 to the 37-yard line. Dwayne Washington had him, but he just couldn't hold on. And Eddie George is one of the players in the NFL that can play with pain.
And that's what guys on your team respect. They know when you're banged up, when you come out there and you're a trooper. We saw him play on Monday night, have a great game with a banged-up knee. Guys really respect that. You see him bounce off a tackler right there, and it goes back to what Steve McNair's been doing. Last year, he would have scrambled on that pass, Gus. He hit his third read, which is Eddie George, picked up 2-3 yards.
2nd and 7. McNair to pass again over the middle. Inside Pittsburgh territory. Chris Sanders, a gain of 14.
Chris Sanders working outside on the skinny post. You see him go, swarm over inside. Watch him catch the back half of the ball. You see his fingertips on the back half of the ball. Cradled it in, brought it in. That's a tough grab. That's a lot of fingertip control when you catch that back half, Gus. That means there's some juice on it. Steve McNair letting it go.
First down and 10 now for the Titans at the Pittsburgh 49. Out of the offset eye. Here's Eddie George following his block, and he'll pick up 2. And we will follow our block and head to New York and Jim Nance.
Well, thank you, Gus. The surprising, explosive Dolphins offense strikes on the game's first series with Lamar Smith going 46 yards for a touchdown at Detroit. Let's go back to Gus and Brent.
All right, Jim, the Dolphins will head to San Diego to play the Chargers next week, so a win in Detroit would really help them out as they take on the struggling Chargers. Player down on the field. We'll be back to Nashville right after this.
Watch Dwayne Washington. This is one of the challenges when you face Eddie George. You get in there, you're a corner, you're very aggressive, but you get that big high leg kick. Watch his helmet, gets a knee right in it, bang, right there. Man, it's tough playing against Eddie George. He is a big man.
Eddie George, 6'3", 240 pounds. He's like a tight end playing tailback as Washington gets up, and he's a little bit woozy. Dwayne Washington had his 4th interception last week against Buffalo. He's in his 7th year out of NC State.
And you know what I think, when you have a corner go out and a new guy comes in to replace him, you go right after him right now. I think a little Derek Mason or Chris Sanders down the sideline.
So far, Steve McNair really pitching it well. 5 of 6, 31 yards. 2nd down and 8 from the 47.
There's Shea Townsend right now. I'd take a shot on him in these next couple plays to see what he's got.
George. Tackled by Levon Kirkland. But Eddie George gets to the 43-yard line, a pickup of 3. Monday on CBS begins with an all-new King of Queens, followed by Yes, Dear, the new series. Then it's Everybody Loves Raymond, Becker with Ted Danson, and they wrap it up with Family Law. An all-new Monday on CBS. Nashville, Tennessee, AFC Central battle between the Steelers and the Titans. Titans with the football on 3rd and 5. at the Pittsburgh 44. 4-receiver package, empty backfield. McNair underneath, it's caught by Sanders. Chris Sanders at the 36, a gain of 8 and a first down for the Titans. Levon Kirkland with the tackle.
And that's exactly the matchup Jeff Fisher wants. You split the guys out, you get your wide receiver versus Steelers zone. Watch the linebacker Kirkland out here. He has to come out and cover the wide receiver. That's a tough responsibility. Levon Kirkland can do a lot, but it's
Tough to have to cover Chris Sanders. You see him coming out in that zone. Tough challenge, good job by formation getting the matchup that you want by the Titans.
Sanders off to a good start, 2 catches, 22 yards. Eddie George over the left side, breaks 1 tackle, and is ridden down inside the 35-yard line. And Eddie George, not only did he sign the big contract during the offseason, he went back to Ohio State and started to try to finish up on his degree. He's a landscape architecture major, and he now only has 10 units remaining to get his diploma. And how interesting that would be to be a student in that department, and all of a sudden you're sitting next to Eddie George.
Yeah, you're watching the Super Bowl, and then a couple weeks later, there's Eddie George sitting next to you, saying, hey, can I borrow your notes?
2nd and 8 from the 34. 7th play of the drive that started at the 34, and George drops it and is down at the 41-yard line. They were trying to set up the reverse.
And Gus, not only the reverse, but it was going to be the reverse pass. Derek Mason, I saw him in practice yesterday, take that snap and throw the ball downfield. You're going to see Frank Wycheck. He's going to come down here, fake like he's blocking, and go back out to the corner. And Eddie George dropped the ball, and Derek Mason's a little frustrated because he was going to get that reverse and have a shot downfield for Frank Wycheck.
A loss of 7 on the play, so on 3rd and 15. Titans have it at their own 41. They need to go to the 26.5 for a first down. McNair in trouble. Dances out of the pocket. McNair throws on the run. It's incomplete.
And Gus, they were blowing that whistle even before Steve McNair threw the ball, and I think they might have called the play clock.
Prior to the
run
ball
down.
being snapped, delay a game, offense. 5 yards, repeat 3rd down.
So that'll make it 3rd down and 22.
You know, I've heard about quick whistles before, but McNair's breaking the pocket. I'm hearing the whistle, and the fans are so loud here, and it's a credit to the fans here in Tennessee. Couldn't hear any whistle till right at the very end.
So Steve McNair, he's been criticized in the past for not putting up bigger numbers, but this man is a winner, and that's all that counts.
You know, this is a very unselfish team. They don't really look to stats. They understand the only stat that matters is the W, and they've got a lot of those thus far this season.
3rd down, 22. McNair underneath, knocked away, almost intercepted by Deshae Townsend. Deshae Townsend in for Dwayne Washington, and the Titans are forced to punt it away.
Deshae Townsend jumping that seam route, looking for Derek Mason right into double coverage. And you see Lee Flowers deliver the blow. This is going to be a physical game. Catch the ball or drop the ball. You're going to get hit all day. And there's some tempers flaring already on that line of scrimmage.
Courtney Hawkins stands at the 10-yard line, entering the 40. End over end kick, heading into the end zone, and it does. A 46-yard punt, a 26-yard net.
On CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. Never miss a moment. And by Pennzoil with Pure Base. Protection so strong you can see the difference.
This season, the Tennessee Titans have been on fire.
Oh, stole my line.
11 straight at home, and the fans are feeling it. First down and 10 now for the Steelers from their own 20. Fans on their feet here in Tennessee. Play clock down to 3. to go here in the first. Timeout, Pittsburgh. Today when we talked to Bill Cowher and Cordell Stewart, they didn't think that the crowd would really be a factor in this game.
Oh, it is a factor. And you know what? When the worst thing you can do is call timeout, because you know that what that says to the fans? Yell even louder. And they are.
First down and 10 from the 20. Stewart in trouble. Steps up in the pocket, wants to run and slides down at the 27, maybe the 28-yard line. He picks up 7, and that's the old Cordell Stewart everybody is used to seeing.
And that's also the old Javon Curse, and that's exactly what the crowd does. Makes people a little late off the ball. Watch Javon Curse get inside right there. Cordell Stewart steps up, and those are the things that he hasn't been doing. And when Cordell Stewart starts doing this, it starts opening up other things in this Pittsburgh offense.
Second and 3 from the 27. Stewart into the seam. It's gone. Corey Geeson with the big reception gets to midfield. A gain of 22 yards, and Geeson is hurt.
Guys, it looked like he took a shot right on that knee. And that's what happens when you run that seam down the middle from the tight end spot. Watch the left side of your screen coming right down here. Cordell putting it right on the money, but you get a shot, you're blindsided. Marcus Robertson getting right on his left knee, it looked like, and you're unprotected as a tight end going down the field when you're looking back for the ball. And you see him actually have to stop and turn around, and by the time he gets his legs, Robertson's taking a shot. Nice adjustment to the ball.
So Corey Geeson being tended to on the field. Meanwhile, let's join Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, thank you, Gus. While we have a moment, this opening drive by the Bears, something to behold. 17 plays, 80 yards, 9.5 minutes, and Curtis Enos registers his first touchdown of the season as the Bears strike first over the Colts. Let's go back to Gus and Brent.
So last week, Indianapolis disposing of the Lions. This week, they face another black and blue opponent in the Chicago Bears. Different story to start. Back to Nashville after this. Third down and 9 for the Titans from their own 40-yard line. Derek Mason in motion out of the backfield. Here comes the corner blitz. They get it away. Mason. And Mason tries to break it outside, but nothing doing. Some nice gang tackling by the Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Joey Porter. And Dwayne Washington back into the game now for the Steelers. He took a shot to the head, but obviously he's okay because he's on the field. So there's Dwayne Washington. So Hendrick lines up the punt from the 25-yard line. Hank Poteet back deep at the 10. Spiraling kick. Poteet, the rookie from Pitt, loses it, and it's picked up at the 18. Eric Morris falls on the football, and that's the first turnover of the game.
And Gus, Bill Cowher had been putting in Courtney Hawkins if it was inside the 15 on a punt return, just to not have the pressure on Hank Poteet.
Make that the second turnover. Stewart with the interception, and now the fumble.
And both Poteet and Hawkins were taking punts in the pregame warm-ups, and that was a tough one to catch. There's some swirling wind up there, and you see the ball hang up. And that's coaches telling right there, Hank, next time, just let it bounce. It's much safer. I'd rather have it on the one than the other team have the ball.
Tyson Zabit at the Pittsburgh 18. Eddie George stood up and driven down. Kevin Henry plugging up the hole.
And Kevin
the
Henry.
Pittsburgh Steelers defense in the red zone. How about that? Last 4 weeks, they've been perfect.
Phenomenal. How about that? How about giving up 9 points in 4 weeks? That is playing defense. And they take that as a challenge once that ball gets in the red zone.
Second down and 10 from the 18. In front of Frank Wycheck and picks it off. And now the Titans have their first turnover of the game.
And Joey Porter knew that was coming. He knew it would be a challenge with Wycheck. You're going to see Wycheck running the out and up. Watch him turn his head back. Most linebackers bite on that. Joey Porter's right with him. Step for step, turns, makes the interception. Big time play by a big time player.
Big play for Joey Porter, the young man from Bakersfield, California.
And he's telling us, he's told us he spent more time in his playbook. He's spending more time watching film. Took some heat early on in the first part of the season when the Steelers were 0-3. But he has come back, been a force. 7 sacks, big interception right there. Great coverage on one of the best tight ends in the league.
Had 2 last week against the Ravens. Pittsburgh first and 10 from their own 4. Cordell Stewart out of his own end zone. Down the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Courtney Hawkins. And he couldn't keep both feet in bounds.
And that was one heck of an effort by Courtney Hawkins, getting one foot down and trying to drag that back foot, going over your shoulder out of bounds. Watch Hawkins just running a streak route on Walker. Ball's over his outside shoulder. Watch him catch. There's one foot. Watch him try to drag this next foot. Just catching out of bounds. Referee right on top of it. A great job.
Nice piece of officiating. Gary Seaman, the head of the officials, is in the building.
One of the greatest.
Second and 10 from the 4. Kreider and Bettis in the backfield. Drop play, Bettis. And Jerome Bettis with the head of steam gets up to the 9-yard line. Here's Jim Nance in New York.
Well, Gus, after 322 minutes without a score, a span of 21 quarters, 0 for October, the Ravens have scored a touchdown at last. Brandon Stokely from Tony Banks, 10-0 Baltimore. Let's go back to Gus and Greg.
So Tony Banks back in the lineup. He was benched last week against these Pittsburgh Steelers in favor of Trent Dilfer. And he gets the Ravens on the board. 3rd and 5, though, for the Steelers from their own 9-yard line. Stewart out of the shotgun. Underneath, incomplete. Stewart started the game 2 for 2. Since then, he's 0 for 4 with an interception. Bobby Shaw, the intended receiver.
And you just have that much less time when you're backed up and the fans are going crazy. Usually with that noise, your tackles are the last ones to hear the snap count. They're the farthest away from the ball. They got to go on movement, so it's just that much delayed. And getting a lot of pressure from the outside on Cordell Stewart.
Josh Miller, 7 yards deep in his own end zone. Derek Mason, back deep. End over end kick. Mason picks it up at the 45. He's got running room. Flag on the play. Mason out of bounds at the 25-yard line. The flags are all over the field. A 46-yard punt and an 18-yard return.
And I think there's a clip or an illegal block in the back. I think it was Denard Walker.
On a return, illegal block in the back, number 39 of the return team, 10 yards. Timeout.
So with 12:25 to go here in the second quarter, they are duking it out on defense.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Chrysler. We're reinventing the passion for driving. First Union, your guide to the financial world. And by Little Nicky, starring Adam Sandler. PG-13.
Beautiful day here in Nashville. A shot of Adelphia Coliseum. 67,000 strong in attendance. Titans have the ball at the Pittsburgh 39. Eddie George. And Eddie George gets to the 36-yard line. Brett, talk about what running downhill is.
Well, running downhill is when a back feels like he's got his momentum. He's out of second gear, he's into third. So you see the great backs turn that corner, and they just envision in their mind that they're running downhill. If you've ever run downhill before, your stride is much longer. You've got to keep up with yourself. You want that feeling of running hard downhill into the hole.
Since 1997, these are the two top rushers in the National Football League, Jerome Bettis and Eddie George. Meanwhile, a flag on the play.
And I think Big Fred Miller moved on the right side.
Prior to the snap, ball start, 71 offense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
So Jeff Fisher's team coming off a 27-21 win over Washington on Monday for their 7th straight. And what a job he's done. The former defensive back for the Chicago Bears was also a pretty good return man in his day.
Yeah, he's working with Derek Mason on some punt returns.
Second down and 12 from the 41. Out of the offset eye. Porter creeps up to the line of scrimmage. They pitch it to George. And Eddie breaks it down to the 34-yard line. Jason Gilden with the tackle. We told you Jeff Fisher could return punts. We'll take a look at this.
Watch his little shake and bake. He's got to move. He doesn't just run straight. Watch him make some moves. When he played for the Bears, a little break in, break back out, set up your blocks. Look at the stride by the coach. Down the sideline. Running right past the punter for 6. Not even breathing hard.
5th longest in the team's history.
Told you he's been working with Derek Mason.
3rd down and 5 from the 34. McNair underneath. Up by Whitecheck with running room. Pops it outside. Flag on the play. And Frank Whitecheck gets to the 17-yard line. A gain of 18.
And Gus, 2 receivers in the same spot. Derek Mason right in front of him. They're going to call an illegal pick, I'll bet, on Derek Mason or pass interference because they were both right in the same spot.
85 offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
And just by the way the receivers came off the line of scrimmage, I don't think this was set up to be a pick. But Mason, watch the 2 inside receivers here on the left side. And you're going to see Mason get into Whitecheck's zone. Whitecheck just running a stick out, and they're coming across, and he runs the wrong route. And you see him contact the player covering Frank Whitecheck while the ball's in the air. Whitecheck has the presence of mind to step underneath, catch it, and make the play. But I think Mason just ran the wrong route.
Backs him up to 3rd and 15. They need to get to the 29 for a 1st down. McNair out of the gun. Here comes the blitz. Townsend chasing him. He gets it down the field. Incomplete, and a flag on the play. Carl Pickens, the intended receiver.
And you saw Chad Scott actually go ahead and grab Carl Pickens while the ball was about halfway there. It was sneaky, grabbed the back of his jersey, couldn't get his arm up. They were hand fighting. And now with the discussion, maybe they'll call it on Pickens. There was some hand checking going on down the sideline, but I thought it was Scott. And you know what? It looks like they're calling it that he might have come a legal touch. That Pickens actually went out of bounds and came back in.
Was out of bounds, came back in, and was the first to touch the ball. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Watch Carl Pickens on the streak route right outside here. As he step out of bounds, there's contact right there. That's pass interference. He's pushing him out of bounds. You can't, there's a 5-yard chuck zone. He's out of bounds right there. Except he didn't run out of bounds, he got pushed out of bounds. That's what they call pass interference in this league. That's why they have the 5-yard chuck zone.
Hendrick punting from the 41. Lazy kick. Courtney Hawkins, the fair catch signal at the 15. Hank Poteet taken out of the game, and Courtney Hawkins catches it at the 15, a 29-yard punt. Get live updates for each NFL game as it happens. Just click on live scores at cbs.sportsline.com.
You big
Johnson, Brett Jones with you. No, I don't even own one.
I tell you what, the 2 sites I rotate between, CBS Sports Line and Market Watch. Get my sports in the market.
You're a big stock market guy.
I'm telling you, great sites. They make it happen.
First down and 10 from the 15. Plexico Burris out of the game. Fans rising to their feet once again. Jerome Bennis. And Bennis goes down at the 17-yard line. Busy day in sports for Jim Nance.
All right, Gus, a little Flutie magic at Foxborough. 7 plays, 84 yards. Flutie to Remersma, and the Bills lead 10-0. Let's go back to Gus and our favorite tight end, Brent Jones.
All right, Jim, a little controversy in Buffalo between Rob Johnson and Doug Flutie.
Yeah, how about all that stuff in Sports Illustrated? Unnamed Buffalo Bills making comments about Rob Johnson. You know what they used to say in San Francisco? If you're gonna say something, have the guts to attach your name to it. I hate that. But Doug Flutie, he ends up making things happen. But Rob Johnson said those quotes came from Doug Flutie.
That's right. The unnamed sources are Doug Flutie. Meanwhile, injured player, it's Kenny Holmes on the field. A lot of hitting. 2 injured players, as a matter of fact. We'll be back after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Best Buy. Buy online, return to store. BestBuy.com. Now, wasn't that easy? And by Gateway. In Gateway country, people rule.
Welcome back. Kenny Holmes on his feet on the sideline. 2nd down and 7 for the Steelers from their own 18. Lane Bishop creeps up. Stewart, the short drop. It's caught. Burris up the sideline, lowers his shoulder and gets close to the 45. Marcus Robertson, the safety, with the tackle. But Plexico Burris, the first-round pick for the Steelers, with a big gain of 25.
And the reason he had that big game, watch Michael Booker. He gambles for the interception. You see Burris run the hitch route. There goes. He goes up, try to make that interception. Nobody on top. Burris getting his hands back, catching the ball, and getting upfield.
21 catches on the season for Plexico. Came into this game the 2nd leading receiver on this team. First down and 10 from the 43. Play action. Cordell drops it off to Kreider as fullback. And big Dan Kreider rumbling out of bounds. A gain of 8. Here's a guy that was on the practice squad, but because of injuries has gotten an opportunity to play, and they really like him in Pittsburgh.
And Bill Cowher just says he's just a tough guy. Just a big, tough guy. Jerome Bettis told us he doesn't care about stats at all. He just wants to block. And if you're the running back, that's the type of fullback you want in front of you.
Not only that, he said he just wants to hit somebody. 2nd and 2 from the 49. Bettis, who never shies away from contact, picks up the first down at the 45-yard line. Joe Salavea with the tackle. Friday on CBS, the fugitive is taken hostage, and you'll never guess what happens next. Don't miss the most terrifying episode ever. Tim Daly stars in the all-new Fugitive, Friday at 8/7 Central on CBS. Also, Michael T. Williamson, a star in that show. And on the ground today, a team comparison. Steelers averaging 3.6. The Titans, they can't do anything with this steel curtain defense. First down from the Tennessee 45. Stewart dances, in trouble, gets it up, and it's picked up.
And you know what, Gus? The ref was blowing the whistle as Cordell Stewart was going down.
Barry Phoenix.
It's rolled in the grass. 2nd down.
No interception. Wow. For Stewart. Very lucky on that play.
And that's dangerous. Cordell, those are the things that he needs to shy away from. And if you're in the grass and another player can hit you, they're going to blow it dead. And you're going to see him. He's in the grass, and he's going down. That's to protect the quarterbacks. And you see the official waving off the call, blowing the whistle. But Cordell has got to be careful because sometimes you won't get the break of having that whistle. And you're falling down. You better make sure it's in the ground.
Greg Favors had him. 2nd and 24 from the 41. Stewart steps up, dumps it off to the sideline, and it's caught by Troy Edwards. But a flag on the play and a hold against the Steelers.
Javon Kearse just came off the ball like a bullet, and I never saw him hold him. It looked like they pushed him right by Cordell Stewart.
Holding 72 offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
Swain Gandy, the left tackle.
And big Wayne Gandy has been having his hands full all day, but Gandy has stepped up his game since the beginning of the season. He's been playing at a very high level, been playing some great ball. Watch Kearse get off the line of scrimmage. And you see the pressure from the outside with Tharp. And Wayne Gandy's on the other side. He wasn't even going against it. It was Larry Tharp, and I didn't see a hole.
2nd and 34. And a penalty coming up. Kenny Holmes trying to get an early start on the right side. And he'll be called for offside.
99 defense, unabated to the quarterback, 5 yards, repeat second down.
And a lot of injuries today, and let's join the third member of our team, Marcus Allen.
Thanks, Gus. All-Pro center DeMonte Dawson has a right hamstring, doubtful for a return, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus. 3 great running backs in the building. Jerome Bettis, Eddie George, and Marcus Allen. 2nd and 29 from the 36. Stewart on the quarterback draw. And he gets to the 39-yard line. Perry Phoenix there to tackle him. Perry Phoenix, Brent voted the loudest player on the team charter. He's a character.
Did you get an award for that?
I'm not sure. Maybe a big microphone or something.
And there's Dawson on the sidelines. Roger Duffy in his center for the great All-Pro. And it's tough when you get old. Those hamstrings and those quad muscles start acting up, and they just don't bounce back as quick as they used to.
In his 13th year, brings up 3rd and 26 from the 39. They need to get to the 45, the 35 rather, for a first down. Cordell Stewart underneath. It is caught by Hines Ward. And they call it an incompletion. Ward trying to pick it up off the ground. And here comes Josh Miller on the punt team.
And you're going to see the ball skim the ground. Hines Ward coming across on a deep hook. Nice job, though, of just scooping that ball. The referee's right on top of it.
Third punt for Josh Miller, standing at the 24. Derek Mason at the 15. Mason over to the sideline. And out of bounds. Some directional punting for Josh Miller. A 41-yard punt. Tonight on 60 Minutes, a letter marked urgent usually means someone is in urgent need of your money. And no one plays that game better than politicians. Tonight on 60 Minutes. Cordell Stewart on the sideline as offensive coordinator. He told us yesterday Kevin Gilbride has made things a lot simpler for him.
And I think you just have to go ahead and adjust to what your athletes can do. And Cordell Stewart is an athlete. You want him out of the pocket. You want him running with the ball. Maybe a little bootleg action. That's what the Steelers offense needs to be, along with the bus.
First down from the 25 for the Titans. Eddie George on the pitch. Eddie George bottled up and driven down. Eddie George maybe a gain of a half yard, but that Pittsburgh defense is really flying to the ball.
Boy, they have been phenomenal, Gus. And I can't remember the last time I was announcing a 0-0 game and was totally interested and into it. There's a lot of subplots, a lot of great hitting, some fantastic defense played out on the field, and some great running backs as well.
Especially as a 49er. If you played in a 0-0 game, I'm sure you and Steve Young were going nuts.
It was always 0-0 when we came out on the field to start the game. That was about it.
Second down and 9 from the 26. His tight end, and the fireman gets to the 45-yard line. Aaron Kenny, the third-round pick out of Florida, already has more catches this season than his entire senior year at Florida.
And it's nice to see the big-time tight end catch a ball. Watch Joey Porter, though, having McNair going right by him. And that's what happens when you run the ball, the play-action boot. It sucks in those linebackers. They're thinking they're getting a big dose of Eddie George. It opens up those throwing lanes for the tight ends coming across. That's something that the Steelers need to do as well.
They call him a fireman. He serves as a volunteer firefighter. First and 10 from the 45. Eddie George breaking tackles and gets to midfield. Some hard running for Eddie George. Lee Flowers, the safety, comes up and makes the tackle with Errol Holmes.
And you talked about Aaron Kenny being a firefighter. I had heard that it's actually in his contract that he can't go into any burning buildings. How about that? Please stay out of burning buildings during the offseason.
Baltimore up big on Cincinnati. Bengals have won 2 straight. And the Giants and Cleveland tied at 3. Second and 5 from midfield. Sanders in motion. George over the right side, breaks it back, and does not gain anything. Levon Kirkland with the tackle. The mean middle linebacker out of Clemson. Now don't forget, coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report, join Jim Nance, Mike Ditka, and Craig James for all the scores and highlights and the latest NFL news. Plus, reports on the upcoming Broncos-Jets game and Chiefs-Raiders games. That's all coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Titans faced with a 3rd and 4 from the Pittsburgh 49. Frank Wycheck with the reception.
And it looks like it's going to be against Pittsburgh. And Frank Wycheck just has such a great feel for defense, for coverage. Not the fastest tight end in the league, but you don't have to be the fastest when you get open the most.
First 2 years he played in Washington.
Holding 30 defense, 5 yards by measurement and by rule. That's a first down.
So when you, as a former tight end, you really like watching Wycheck's game.
I really do. I think he's got a great feel for the passing game. There's so many guys that don't have a feel. He always runs his route to the first down. He was a foot or two beyond the first down. He always has a feel whether it's man or zone. He does a great job of selling his routes, of running complete routes, of coming back to the ball, of catching the ball. One of the most underrated tight ends. You're starting to hear about him more and more. Very impressive, Frank Wycheck.
1 reception in the last 64 games. McNair over the middle, wide open. It's Mason. Turns it downfield. Mason out of bounds inside the 10. But there's a flag on the play at the 47-yard line. So hold everything. It was a 31-yard gain, and it will be coming back. A trip.
Boy, and Derek Mason made a great inside move and spun back outside, and he just makes big plays.
74 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's the veteran Bruce Matthews. "38 years old, 18 years in the NFL.
Watch Bruce Matthews, number 74. The left guard. Right here, Clancy's getting right by him. You see that right there. You can see him go to stick his leg out, and you see Clancy go down. Just a little trip. A lot of times they don't catch that. But they got Bruce that time.
So it's 1st and 20 from the 46. The pitch, Eddie George has problems with the handle, but picks it up and gets to the 48-yard line. Another flag on the play. Levon Kirkland with the tackle. And a hold is going to be called against the Titans.
Boy, Levon Kirkland and Earl Holmes have been clogging up that middle, and Eddie George isn't getting any running room in the middle or on the outside.
Jeff Fisher, not a happy camper on the sideline.
And when those holes don't open up, you get frustrated as an offensive line, and you start doing things you don't usually do, like hold.
Holding, 71 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down. It's a 2-minute warning.
1:58 to go in the first half of play. No score. And don't forget, coming up at halftime, the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Jim Nantz, Mike Ditka, Craig James will have scores and highlights plus NFL news. 1:58 to go here in the second quarter of play. No score, and we expected this game to be like this.
And we did, and I think Bill Cowher talked about trying to keep it close on the road, get it into the fourth quarter. That's what he wants. And thus far through the first half, this Steeler defense has kept them right in the game.
First down and a long 30 from the 36. Wycheck in motion. The pitch, Eddie George. And Eddie George is gang tackled at the 38-yard line. With 1:49 to go, Pittsburgh calls a timeout. Don't forget, coming up next, game 2 of our doubleheader featuring the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets or the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Oakland Raiders. That's next here on CBS. Only 4 teams in the NFL have a 7-1 record. Tennessee, the Oakland Raiders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the St. Louis Rams. And so far, who do you like out of those 4?
Well, my preseason pick was the Raiders, so I'm sticking with them. But I think right now, if you look at the most balanced team in the National Football League, and you're talking offense, defense, and special teams, coaching, attention to detail, it's the Tennessee Titans. And if you look at their schedule, and we'll see it later on, into the second half of the season, well, they could easily go 14-2, 15-1. And that's what makes this game so important. It's the last real tough battle for the first half of the season going into the second half.
Second down and 27 yards to go from the 39. McNair, all day to throw, and he decides to run it. Steve McNair down the sideline, and he picks up a huge chunk of yardage, 17. Eddie George with a terrific block. And quite often, McNair has been referred to as a fullback that plays quarterback.
And watch Steve McNair's patience back there. He's going through all his reads, looking both sides of the field. He doesn't run right away. Then he realizes, okay, it's time to run. He gets out, and it's amazing to see the speed for a big man. You see it on TV all the time, but to see that in person, to know how big he is, he's got some wheels.
225 pounds. Third down and 9 from the 43. They need to get to the 34 for first down. McNair winds up, goes to the Sanders in the home run. Caught inside the 5. What a catch! Chris Sanders climbs the ladder, and the Titans are in business. A gain of 40.
And how about Chris Sanders running the post and Steve McNair just laying it up there saying, one-on-one, I'm going to let my guy make the play. Watch him position himself and go up for that rebound. Get the ball at the highest point. The best receivers get that ball at the highest point before the defensive backs do. Watch him bring it back into his chest. Use his body to cradle it. That's one heck of a play.
McNair likes it as well. Sanders 3 catches, 62 yards. And that's only the second pass completion over 22 yards against the Steelers this season. And they don't give up the big play.
That's been the success in this 5-game run. They haven't been giving up the big play. They've done basic things in the secondary, let their players play. They haven't been running confusing schemes and have had guys out of position like they did in the first couple of games. And that was just mano a mano, throw it up for the jump ball, and Chris Sanders just got a little bit higher.
First down and goal for the Titans at the Pittsburgh 3. Eddie George, he'll lose yardage. What a defense. Earl Holmes, who leads the team in tackles, comes up and makes the play.
And Earl Holmes has been clogging up that middle and those outside running lanes all day. And Levon Kirkland has been cleaning up as well. And those two guys on the inside just make such an impact.
So the Titans in the red zone earlier today, and Joey Porter coming up with a huge play.
And it was a great man coverage versus Frank Wycheck. going toe-to-toe with the big tight end down the field. You saw Frank Wycheck do that little head look back, and most linebackers bite. When a receiver turns their head around, most linebackers aren't experienced enough to know it's a fake.
So if you're Tennessee against this swarming Pittsburgh defense, what kind of stuff do you run this close to the goal line?
Well, you know what? I really thought first down they should have run play action. That's your best opportunity to throw the ball, because they think here comes Eddie George, and they were right. That's when you get linebackers collapsing inside. Earl Holmes, Kirkland, get Wycheck outside, run that little stick route. Now the Steelers are expecting some type of pass. They know the time's running out. We got a minute. You got to look. I think that they're going to be all over Frank Wycheck. Watch Aaron Kenny be able to sneak out the big tight end. Let's get the fireman the ball.
Number 88. He's the rookie. Has 16 catches on the season, making 17. He has one today. So Kenny lines up as the tight end at the top of your screen. Second and goal from the 4. They hand it to George. Nothing doing. Eddie George chopped down by Kirkland and also Kevin Henry. And here's some pushing and shoving going on. Hopkins, the left tackle.
And there's no love loss. No love loss. Watch the toss here outside to Eddie George. And watch Levon Kirkland come from way over here. He's going to step right up into that hole along with Kevin Henry. And there is nowhere to go. And Kirkland gets his hand. Watch him get his hands right in the face right there. And there's some frustration going on down there. And I'm a little surprised the Titans chose to run it on both first and second down, because they have not had the running game going at all today. This Pittsburgh Steelers defense has just stifled them, and that's the type of ball game that Bill Cowher wants.
So no timeouts remaining for Pittsburgh. One timeout remaining for the Titans. Third down and goal from the 4.
Just remember, a lot of focus right now on Wycheck. He ought to be covered. There's no excuse for leaving Wycheck uncovered and having a free release off the line of scrimmage. That's why look for Aaron Kenny. That's the shot, or a slant or a fade to your outside receivers.
Sanders lines up at the wide receiver spot at the top of your screen. Mason at the bottom. Underneath, incomplete. They were thinking about you, Brent, because they went for Kenny. But Steve McNair underthrows the football.
Yeah, got a little pressure and just threw it a little low. McNair's got an arm that's strong enough to work that pass in there on that little stick route right inside the goal line. And they were thinking about it. And that's how you got to think. You got to go to your off tight end down there when you have a player like Wycheck that everybody knows is going to get a lot of those passes.
So Al Del Greco, the 17-year veteran, in to attempt a 21-yarder. He's perfect from this distance on the season. Gets it up and good.
Watch yourself, gentlemen. Here we go.
So, with 52 seconds remaining in the first half of play, Tennessee scores first. And for the Steelers, it's the first points they've given up in 17 quarters in the red zone. They still haven't given up a touchdown in about 4.5 games. Lou Holtz has South Carolina on the move, and next Saturday on the Home Depot College Football, they're in the swamp to tangle with the Florida Gators. It's an SEC shootout, and it all begins with Volkswagen College Football today at 3 Eastern. Adelphia Coliseum, downtown Nashville, where the hometown Tennessee Titans lead it 3-0 with 52 seconds remaining in the first half. Gus Johnson, Brent Jones, first game, or the first meeting of the season between these two, won by the Titans 23-20. So Hendrick kicks it away. Edwards and Poteet back deep. This will be Poteet from the 6. Hank Poteet looking to get outside, and he does. And gets up to the 29-yard line, a return of 23 yards. Danon Sidney with the special teams tackle.
And I think right now, Gus, the best thing for this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, go in at halftime trailing 3-0. Don't try to make something happen here with 45 seconds left. Don't have any timeouts. Don't try to gamble. That's not the style of offense you have. You get into trouble when you try to do things that you're not capable of doing. Although it looks like they're taking a shot with the 3 wides.
Make it 4. Stewart, quarterback draw. Cordell Stewart gets up to the 37, and a flag on the play. Maybe a late hit against Kenny Holmes.
And maybe a little knee to Cordell Stewart or a little face mask.
And a face mask against the Titans. Stops the clock.
Face mask on the tackle, 5 yards, first down.
Only a 5-yarder. And this is almost after the tackle as he grabs Stewart's face mask. Randall Godfrey, 1st and 10 from the 41. Stewart again to the sideline. Almost picked off. Wow. Denard Walker was so surprised that the ball was right between the 2 and the 5.
And Gus, there was nobody there except the receiver Troy Edwards. And that's why you don't run the 2-minute drill with no timeouts left in 40 seconds and do things that you're not used to doing. 3-0's good enough. You're on the road. And Denard Walker, how do you not catch that one? That could be 6. And that's why I said you can't do that. And they're continuing to do it. That's not the style of offense that this Pittsburgh Steelers runs.
No timeouts for the Steelers. Stewart looking for a seam. He has it. And jitterbugs down to the 45-yard line. A gain of 4 with 23 seconds to go.
And Chris Brown was kicking them going this way about 54 yards. So they got to get down on about the 37-yard line.
They have no timeouts. Underneath again. And it's caught by Bobby Shaw, a gain of 9.
Boy, they sure dodged a bullet with that Denard Walker play.
And they don't get it off in time. So that's the end of the first half of play with the score. The Tennessee Titans 3 and the Pittsburgh Steelers nothing. And so far, it's the tough, physical, defensive game we were expecting. Now let's go to Marcus Allen on the sideline with Coach Cowher.
Oh, thanks, Gus. Remember, Coach Cowher, it's been a fist fight. Neither team is yielding. How do you think it?
Field position game. We got the ball up here around midfield. It's going to be that type of game. We had 2 big negative plays. We lost a little of the field position game. They make a big play at the end of the first half. It's going back and forth. Right now, we got to stay focused. Don't lose our focus. This is the kind of game we knew it was going to be. It's going to come down to that thing. Don't lose your poise. We've been in it. Play with a little bit of greater focus, and we got to come out and make some plays this half.
All right. Thanks a lot, Coach. Back to you, Gus.
All right, Marcus, that's the end of the first half with the score. Tennessee 3, Pittsburgh nothing. Coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report, Jim Nantz and Company. After this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ.com halftime report is sponsored by NASDAQ.com, the information source for the serious investor.
Welcome back, everybody, to our Fifth Avenue studios, the NASDAQ.com halftime report. A reminder, this is an NFL doubleheader day on CBS, and coming up, most of you will see either the Broncos against the Jets or the Chiefs taking on the Raiders. We have 2 reports, beginning with Greg Gumbel and Phil Simms.
Welcome to the Meadowlands, everyone, where later today the New York Jets will take on the Denver Broncos, and the Jets will try to bounce back after a loss at Buffalo last week, a game in which Vinny Testaverde threw 2 interceptions, but he threw particularly well, especially in the fourth quarter, Phil.
Yeah, he did, Greg. I think last week Vinny Testaverde physically is the best I've seen him all year long, but he has struggled in the first 3 quarters. Look at that. Well, it's not struggling. That's playing terrible. But look what he's done in the fourth quarter. He really is Super Vinny. Oh, nice shot there of Super Vinny. But the reason why he's played played so well in the fourth quarter. The Jets come in, they spread the offense. It slows the pass rush down by the defense, and Testaverde is really taking advantage of simpler defenses in those situations.
Well, the Broncos come in off a bye week. Prior to that, an embarrassing 10-point loss at Cincinnati. Mike Shanahan was embarrassed by that. He hopes to rebound today behind a healthy Terrell Davis, who will start at running back. Let's check in Oakland with Kevin Harlan.
In Oakland, Halloween is a year-round event, especially when the Kansas City Chiefs are in town. The Raiders, with their best start in 16 years, have a 2-game lead on the Chiefs in the West. Kevin Harlan alongside Daryl Johnston. Close games have embraced this series.
And you can see by points, first downs, and total yards just how close the last 3 games have been between these teams. The last 4 games decided by 7 points or less. 2 of those Oakland victories after Kansas City held the lead going into the fourth quarter.
Important Raider injuries today. Out their starting left tackle, out their best pass rusher John Stone, and game-time decisions for their backfield of Wheatley and Ritchie. Moments ago, Chiefs center Tim Grunhard testing his injured left ankle. He has started 120 consecutive games. And Daryl Keys today for either team.
Well, kind of an overlooked facet of the football game, special teams. Oakland excels at it. Kansas City has struggled in it. Look for Oakland to create great field position.
And Jim, we send it back to you in New York.
That's doubleheader action later today. And the NFL on CBS continues in just a moment.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ.com halftime report is sponsored by NASDAQ.com, the information source for the serious investor.
And there you see live some of the finishers who will beat the 4-hour mark at the New York City Marathon, already won by Abdelhadar El Moaziz from Morocco and Ludmila Petrova of Russia won the women's marathon today. We welcome you to the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Mike Dickett and Craig James alongside. They've been watching some football.
Who's that guy that won that race again?
You would do that, Timmy, wouldn't you? Abdelhadar El Moaziz. Thank you. How about the first half here? Titans and Steelers. You've been watching this one.
It's all defense. There's nothing really happening in the football game. It's all defense. You got 2 good football teams. We talked about Pittsburgh coming in, why they were playing. They're on a 5-game winning streak because of defense, and they run the football. They're not running it very well, but they're playing defense.
Something is happening. They're playing defense.
That's right.
Hey, Pittsburgh, though, even though it hasn't scored 17 quarters now without allowing a touchdown, the Steelers. Meanwhile, Miami has just added a field goal to start the second half at Detroit. It truly has been all Miami here on the road.
Oh, if Jim sounds somber, it's because it was a 5-star special by Detroit. Take the Lions. First play of the game, Lamar Smith goes 46 yards for the touchdown, made it 7-0. Miami went with an onside kick. They recovered it. They go down the field again. Lamar Smith again, running behind that Dolphin offensive line who get the job done. They're not making mistakes, and Smith really following his blockers.
Meanwhile, you talk about mistakes. The Colts today, just a handful of errors, and the Bears have taken advantage at Soldier Field, and even Curtis Enos got in the act, Mike.
Curtis Enos, they come on a little counter play, basic eye formation. Curtis Enos scores the first touchdown of the season. They need him to play better. Here's the guy making it happen. Jim Miller, downfield. Marcus Robinson, very accurate throw. He's hit all his receivers. He's had a heck of a first half. Now in the second half, looks like Manning tries to look Walt Harris off. Watch what happens. He steps underneath it. Bing! We got a touchdown the other way. And this looks like the Bear team I saw early in preseason.
How about the Colts with only 3 first downs, and they're in the third quarter against a team that's only won once this year. The Bills up 7 at Foxborough. Craig, what's the story here?
Well, New England's first drive of the game, Bledsoe's going to injure his hand. He goes out there, he has to come out of the game, comes back in, but they're not taking advantage of what the Buffalo secondary can give them.
And the Ravens break out of that touchdown drought in style. 3 touchdowns in the first half alone at Cincinnati.
Not many people would think Trent Dilfer would help you break out of any kind of offensive drought, but he has today. Brandon Stokely takes it in. They finally score a touchdown. Jamal Lewis is running the football, which is opening up the middle of the field. Shannon Sharp, they brought him in to score touchdowns. He scores there, and then he scores later. 2 touchdowns for the tight end.
At Cleveland, the Giants, Collins to Hilliard, 28 yards, up 7 on the Browns. Cowboys, 7-yard touchdown run. Emmitt Smith shutting out the Eagles after they were embarrassed by the Eagles week 1. 49ers getting blitzed by the Saints. Blake with 3 touchdown passes, and Ricky Williams from a yard out with 9 seconds to go in the half. And Tampa Bay's defense sacking Atlanta here, including a stretch of 3 plays, 3 straight sacks, knocking Chris Chandler out with a concussion. Second half is coming up next. Thanks for being with us.
Welcome back to Nashville. Tennessee on top of Pittsburgh, 3-0. Moments ago, our Marcus Allen talked to Jeff Fisher.
Well, thanks. I'm here with Coach Fisher. Typical Titan Steeler matchup. You guys had missed out on some opportunities.
Well, both clubs have. You know, we're stopping ourselves because of penalties and those kind of things. I get frustrated right now. Just keep playing. We know this thing's going to come down to the end one way or another. And if we can play our game for 60 minutes, we'll be okay.
Okay, Coach. Thanks.
All right, Gus Johnson and Brent Jones. This is just a fist fight.
Yeah, it really is. And you heard Jeff Fisher say the key is to not get frustrated. When you get frustrated, when your players get frustrated, you have stupid penalties. They've had a couple penalties that have killed them there in the first half. I'm sure that's something that Coach Fisher talked to the players at halftime about. You got to keep your composure. We can't have bad penalties, dumb penalties going into the second half.
All right, let's take a look at the statistics from the first half of play. And for Tennessee, 146 total yards, 48 yards rushing, 98 yards passing. Not a lot going on for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 94 total yards, 51 yards passing, 43 yards rushing.
You know, I think in the second half, the Steelers are going to have to move Cordell Stewart a little bit more out of the pocket. Maybe some bootlegs, maybe get him running the ball a little bit.
And this one taken out. Troy Edwards, what was he thinking? Gets to the 16-yard line. So Troy Edwards, dangerous move there. Meanwhile, the leaders today, the comparison, Stewart and McNair. Stewart 5 of 11, McNair 9 of 14. Eddie George and Jerome Bettis.
And really the big plays have come from Chris Sanders.
That's right. Burris also with the big reception. So the bus ready to get rolling here in the second half. They start from the 16. Play action. Cordell Stewart wants to run, slides down, and he gets to the 18-yard line. Pickup of 2. It'll make it second down and 8. And in the first half, tough going for the Steelers offense. Punt, interception, punt at halftime. It probably should have been interception.
Yeah, right here, right before the half. And they got away with one right there. Great job by this Titans defensive front and middle linebacker Randall Godfrey.
Second down and 8 from the 18. Cordell Stewart goes up top, incomplete. Intended for Mark Bruner, but he throws that one behind him. Bruner guarded by Eddie Robinson on the play.
And that's what you try to do. You try to go after the matchups, although I don't know, Mark Bruner, solid receiving tight end, doesn't have the speed. Eddie Robinson's got more speed down the seam. Cordell taking the one-on-one shot, maybe thinking his big tight end can come up with the play. But Eddie Robinson can make some hay running downfield.
Third and 8 from the 18. Steelers are 1 of 5 on third down conversions. They need to go to the 27. Stewart down the sideline for Burris. Incomplete. Nice looking defensive play for Tennessee by Denard Walker. He stayed between Burris and the ball.
And I think Plexico Burris, 6'5", making a shot, and you see Booker coming in and getting some big pressure on Cordell Stewart, taking a shot and just throwing it up. And watch Burris downfield versus Walker. This is where the big man has to go up and make the play. Got the height advantage. Got to make something happen.
Derek Mason from the 35. Mason chopped down at the 41 and a flag on the block. Ansley battles with the tackle, a 47-yard punt, a 6-yard return.
And you see one of the officials with his hat off, and that's usually used on the sideline to mark a penalty.
Legal block in the back. Number 35 of the receiving team. That penalty's declined. While the ball was in the air, holding number 32 of the receivers, that penalty is enforced from the spot where possession changed. First down, timeout.
And that's why the official had his hat off. One to mark the second penalty.
Back to Tennessee after this. Log on to NFL.com and vote for the AFC and NFC All-Star teams who will battle in the 2001 Pro Bowl. Vote now on NFL.com. 9 games going on in the NFL right now. 7 are shutouts. First and 10 from the 25 for the Titans. Eddie George. And George tackled at the 27 by Earl Holmes.
And Gus, yesterday Jeff Fisher told us that halftime is huge for their team. He feels like a lot of times games are determined by the first 2 drives here in the third quarter. In fact, he actually brings his team out a couple minutes early. Instead of getting a 2-minute warning to bring his players out, he gets a 4-minute warning, gets the guys out, gets them loosened up, ready to go. They script 8 to 10 offensive plays going into the third quarter to have everybody focused on the same page. So let's see what the Titans do with their first couple drives here in the third quarter.
Second and 8 from the 27. McNair underneath, caught by Wycheck, and Frank Wycheck gets to the 34-yard line, a gain of 8. Dwayne Washington with the tackle, and Wycheck a little gimpy. So for the Titans, first half possessions, only points of this game coming on their final possession, a field goal. A big play, Steve McNair to Chris Sanders, who just went up and got the football over Chad Scott. Third down and 1 from the 34. Eddie George, first down. Lee Flowers with the stop. So the Titans pick up the first down.
Eddie George doing a nice job breaking back. Slant from the Pittsburgh Steelers line to the right side of the defense, and he just saw it and cut right back and went for that open hole.
And the running back comparison, George, 37 yards to Bettis' 21. And Eddie George, who's in his 5th year, 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and this time he gets downhill and gets all the way up to the 47-yard line, picks up 7.
It's funny that you said that because it looked like he was running downhill. And I just wonder if he's just a little gimpy right here. You just see a little limp, his right leg just carrying it a little bit. Might have taken a shot right there in the thigh.
Came into this game with this tender knee, a tender ankle. Also, he's playing with a bursa sac that they shot up earlier this week in his foot. Time it's Rodney Thomas, and Thomas spins.
Eddie George on the carry.
Goes down. Rodney Thomas, 6th-year man out of Texas A&M, number 22.
Ball carrier was Rodney Thomas.
So that brings up third down as Eddie George gets some treatment on the bench, and he looks like he's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's feeling very good right there, and maybe he's just trying to actually stretch out that ankle.
Third down and 1 from the 48. Thomas, the lone setback. Play action. McNair will run for the first down. On the bootleg and out of bounds at the Pittsburgh 40. A gain of 12. They fooled everybody on that play.
And we talked about with the success of the running game, or just the persistence of a running game, the bootleg is the way to go. You get the linebackers flowing, very aggressive. Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Watch them flow to your left right there, and McNair comes back out. There's nobody home. Very aggressive linebackers. You see Joey Porter chasing them. And it's 12, 13, 14 yards downfield before anybody even touches McNair.
McNair, 3 carries, 30 yards. He came into this game averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Eddie George back in. And Eddie George really delivering a lick as he gets the ball inside the Pittsburgh 35. Keevan Henry with the stop.
And you said something a couple carries ago for Eddie George. He's running downhill, and boy, the last 2 carries, he really has looked like he's running downhill. You can kind of see him set it up wide, and then when he starts hitting the hole, he gets his shoulders square, and his stride length increases, and you can just see him burst through the hole, and it's exactly what he needs to do, start running downhill. He hasn't done that as much in the first half.
2nd and 4 from the 34. McNair steps up. They lose the rush, dumps it to Sanders, and Sanders breaks it inside and gets to the 25-yard line. Flowers with the tackle, but Chris Sanders, what a game he's having. He picks up 8. Sanders given an opportunity. Kevin Dyson lost for the season with a knee injury suffered during practice, and this guy is really stepping up.
You see Sanders just waiting outside, and that was all Steve McNair making the play, eluding Jason Gilden, who've got pressure right now. Steve McNair steps up, makes the throw. Instead of scrambling out of the pocket and taking a hit, gets rid of that ball.
71 yards so far for Sanders. First down from the 26. Eddie George inside the 20. And when we talked to both coaches, they told us that this would be a game where one team would have to impose its will on the other. And it looks like the Tennessee Titans are doing that right now in the 3rd quarter.
And watch the right side of the Titans line. Look at that movement and that crease for Eddie George to run up and through. That gets him downhill. And it looks like we got a little bit of Titans will going on the Steelers right now. Jeff Fisher told us the first 2 drives of the 3rd quarter are the key.
Eddie George still moving. Gets to the 12. And that's Steelers defense doing a lot of huffing and puffing right now.
Check out this hitting, ground level, inserting their will. You look, Joey Porter getting driven, and Eddie George keeping those legs churning. And he was getting hit by 3 and 4 people in the first half, and now he's 3 or 4 yards downfield before the first person touches him.
1st and 10 from the 13. Battered and bruised, George continues to churn forward. And he may have gained a yard on the play. Chris Sullivan with the tackle. So George, very effective just running right at you. That's called smash mouth football. He's running behind Kevin Long, Bruce Matthews, and Benji Olsen. 12th play of the drive. And they've eaten up close to 7 minutes. 2nd and 8. Play action. McNair in the end zone, knocked away at the last moment. Terrific play by Lee Flowers. He got a hand in there and redirected the football.
And Lee Flowers no more for his run support. Did a great job in the first half of sticking his head in there, stopping Eddie George. This time staying with the tight end coming across, Aaron Kinney. Nice coverage. That's a tough play, that bootleg. You see him get his right hand in there at the last second. That's a big-time play. That is the toughest route for a safety to cover, that bootleg down inside the red zone.
They haven't allowed a touchdown in the last 18 quarters in the red zone. They haven't allowed a touchdown in the last 4 games, period. So a timeout call by the Titans. 6:49 to go in the 3rd quarter. 3-0.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by GMC. From professional-grade people come professional-grade trucks. Yahoo Sports, fresh sports news 24 hours a day. And by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
Welcome back to Nashville. Eddie George on this drive. 7 carries, 36 yards. And a very important drive. The Titans have it at the 11-yard line. Can the Steelers keep them out of the end zone? McNair. All day to throw. And it's caught by Rodney Thomas, who juggles the football and is stopped at the 25. Jason Simmons with the tackle.
Now, if Rodney Thomas catches that the first time, he for sure gets the first down, maybe a touchdown. What he did is took his head off the ball, and he ended up coming back and catching it. But just that ball juggling cost him the first down.
As he got to the 5, he needed to get to the 3.5 for a first down.
And how many times do you see guys turn their head upfield before they catch the ball? And usually they drop it. Rodney didn't drop it that time, but boy, it was crucial, just like a drop.
Aldo Greco to try a 24-yarder. It's up, and he missed it. Aldo Greco misses a 24-yard field goal. How rare is that? And the Steelers are still in this thing.
Gus, this morning in pregame warm-ups, Aldo Greco pushed about 5 wide right. I was watching him. I was kind of surprised. I thought he was just warming up. Just not getting his foot all the way through the ball. Just kind of like leaving your wedge open a little bit and pushing it right. I know you're such a great golfer.
Oh, yeah. And that really fired up Coach Cowher. Though Greco needed that field goal to tie George Blanda for 7th place on the all-time field goal list. He'll have to wait. First attempt at the 20. Jerome Bettis. And Bettis gets to the 23-yard line, wrapped up by Randall Godfrey. And Godfrey came over from the Cowboys. He was an outside linebacker in Dallas and now moves to the inside and is very good cover linebacker. He learned it playing in Dallas. And Aldo Greco all by himself, nobody near him. And you wouldn't want to be after that 24-yard miss. 2nd and 7. Stewart, short drop. Throws it behind Plexico Burress. Denard Walker, almost another interception. And he had one go in and out of his hands at the end of the first half. And that one close to being in his grasp as well.
Yeah, and that one wasn't even close. You just wonder if the crowd effect is having some problems with the Steeler communication. You should have some hand signals. Everybody should be on the same page when you're out there. And Walker said, probably saying to himself, hey, I've had a couple of opportunities. It's just a matter of time before I get one.
3rd down and 7 from the 23. They need to go to the 30-yard line. Stewart, one of his last 6. Cordell Stewart steps up, looking for the first down, and he has it. Cordell Stewart gets to the 31-yard line, a gain of 8 and a first down for the Steelers. Marcus Robertson with the tackle.
Let's watch Cordell Stewart get some pressure from the outside. Watch Kenny Holmes getting right back there. Tharp does a nice job pushing him by. Cordell breaks the pocket, keeps his feet, knows where that first down is. And we said at halftime, hey, Cordell's got to get back to what he's doing. Breaking the pocket, make some yardage, positive yardage, running the ball, maybe some quarterback draws, maybe a bootleg or two.
1st and 10, draw play, Bettis. Looking for a hole. Bettis spins. And Jerome Bettis may have gotten a yard. Here's Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, Gus, I don't know how much Brent would like this play call. 1st and goal at the 1. Bledsoe out with a thumb injury. John Freeze throws, picked off John Polnisek. They were looking for a tying touchdown. Bills lead by 7, back to Gus and Brent.
Jim, I love the call. I just hate the throw. Throw to the open guy. He'll throw it into triple coverage. Play action, first down. That's where it's all happening. You just got to have somebody to know where to throw the ball.
4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Tennessee up 3-0. 2nd and 8 for the Steelers. Flag on the play. To the sideline, and it's thrown behind Bobby Shaw. But I believe Javon Curse may have gotten an early jump. Number 90 at the top of your screen.
Offside, 99 defense, 5 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
So that is the 10th penalty for the Titans. 75 yards, and they call it on Kenny Holmes, number 99. So it brings up 2nd and 3 from the 38-yard line. Plaxico Burress splits to the bottom of your screen. Troy Edwards to the top. Jerome Bettis, the lone setback. Play action. Stewart to the sideline on the comebacker. Incomplete. Troy Edwards has got to catch that ball. And that's been a problem for the Steelers all year. And young receivers, a lot of drop passes.
Well, 2 first-rounders. Troy Edwards, 2 years ago, first-round draft choice. You see him running around here. Does a nice job on the comeback. Comes back to the ball. Watch him look upfield. He looks at the ball, and they actually never even had it. And Plexico Burress, one-on-one to the post. And that was the time to give the big man a shot. But both these wide receivers for Cordell Stewart haven't stepped up and made the plays this year. Too many drops. That's why they've gone back to the basics and the bus.
3rd and 3 from the 38. Cordell Stewart over the middle, incomplete. Bobby Shaw had a step. Covered on the play by Samari Rolle. And here's a fight breaking out in the middle of the field.
And the veterans break that fight up. You can't get a costly penalty here. And Bobby Shaw did have a step coming across the middle of the field.
So Josh Miller ready to punt it away, standing at the 22. Derek Mason all the way back at the 15. End over end kick. Mason gets away from the football, takes a great Steelers bounce, and is downed at the 11-yard line. A 50-yard punt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Samsung. Welcome to the Samsung Digital Experience, where everyone's invited. And by the motor oil that provides maximum protection. Castrol GTX. Drive hard.
Welcome back. Gus Johnson, Brent Jones. The last time the Titans had the ball, they had it for close to 8 minutes and came up empty. Covered 70 yards. Al Del Greco missing a 24-yarder, and you won't see that happen very often, folks. Del Greco, clearly one of the best kickers in the NFL. 1st and 10 for Steve McNair, and the Titans at the 12. Eddie George. And George chopped down. He'll pick up a couple. From one great running back to another, here's Marcus Allen.
Well, Gus, Eddie George certainly relies on his offensive lineman. One guy in particular, Bruce Matthews, he's blocked for not only 1, not 2, but 5 Heisman Trophy winners. That's Earl Campbell, Mike Rozier, Charles White, Eddie George, and of course myself. We owe a lot of our success to Bruce Matthews. Back upstairs.
Nicely done, Marcus. Bruce Matthews has been around forever, 18 years.
Just like they say Chris Carter only catches touchdowns, Bruce Matthews only blocks for Heisman Trophy winners.
That's right. 2nd and 8 from the 14. Play action, McNair on the bootleg. McNair in trouble. McNair changes direction. He's got a blocker. Eddie George. McNair to the 30 and a first down. A 15-yard game for Steve McNair, but he probably ran about 45 from one end to the other.
Just how they drew it up on the sideline, right, Gus?
That's right.
Well, the Steelers have seen the boot a couple of times. Watch Steve McNair. Nice play action fake. Gets out to the right. Linebackers for Pittsburgh Steelers, and Chad Scott says, no way, not again. You're not going to get us on that. So he reverses himself all the way across the field. Watch Eddie George. Nice block downfield.
Eddie George over the right side, and Eddie George picks up about 3.5. So far for Steve McNair, he's got 46 yards rushing on 4 carries. And speaking of Bruce Matthews, he played at the University of Southern California, where guess who was on his team? Check this out. There's Bruce, and his head coach was his college teammate, Jeff Fisher.
That's great.
And look at this young guy.
There's that little freshman.
Freshman Marcus Allen. There he is, and he looks exactly the same. 2nd and 6. Eddie George. to the 40. Here's Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, Gus, this is something Marcus Allen used to do all the time. Number 32, in this case, Edgerrin James from a yard out. First points of the day for the Colts. Getting blown out by the Bears at Soldier Field. Let's go back to Gus and Brent and Marcus.
Chicago coming up with a big-time game right now. There's Marcus Allen. He certainly used to do some serious running in his day. First down and 10 from the 41. Eddie George. And George almost decapitated down there by Earl Holmes and Lee Flowers.
And what a shot by number 50, Earl Holmes. Watch him right here. Watch him come out and just take a huge shot at Eddie George. This is what you call a free flow linebacker. Bang!
And a free for play 7 and 7 at the 43-yard line.
Second down and 8 from the 43-yard line. And Pittsburgh calls a timeout. 12 seconds to go. We'll be back after this. Temperature starting to drop here in Nashville. The Titans lead it 3-0. The only points of the game coming from an Al Del Greco 21-yard field goal in the second quarter. And that's it. These two defenses have played nice football today. Second and 8 from the 43. McNair, pump fake. McNair flushed out of the pocket. Over the middle. Wycheck with the catch. And he's down at the 47, but a flag. He may have pushed off.
It's either pushing off or holding, one of the two. Levon Kirkland and Frank Wycheck. And I think they're going to call Levon for holding on to the big tight end.
Holding, 99 defense, penalties decline, first down.
So Kirkland called for holding. And so far, Frank Wycheck with 4 catches for 28 yards. And that is the end of the third quarter. One more remaining here at Adelphia. 3-0 the score. We'll return to Nashville after this word from your local station. A lot of goose eggs on the scoreboard. It's been a defensive game. Titans with a 3-0 lead. Tennessee with the football at the Pittsburgh 47. Play action. McNair on the bootleg, throws on the run. Nice strike. And it's caught at the 32-yard line. Derek Mason cradles it for 15 yards.
And we continue to see Steve McNair having some success on the bootleg, either running the ball or making something happen, throwing it. This time to Derek Mason, coming back on the comeback route. Nice job. Keep hitting Eddie George in there, and then go up that play action fake boot. That's where this Titans team has been making some yards today.
First down from the 33. George, flag on the play. And Eddie George gets popped. And you hear, it's just a, wow, what a violent game.
I think I felt it all the way up here in the booth.
I know, you fell backwards. I don't know what's going on with you today.
I'm getting into the game.
Holding, 67 defense, 5 yards, first down.
Kimo von Oelhoffen, the nose guard, called for holding.
And people want to know, how does a defensive guy hold right there over the center? And guard, Bruce Matthews, right here, 67. And the reason a nose tackle will hold is to keep those guards and the centers off his linebackers.
So Kimo, who came over from Cincinnati.
You know, if he can't grab. And actually, Kimo came to this game. Bill Cowher told us and didn't even have a bag. And Bill Cowher said, "Where's your travel bag?" He said, "Coach, my toothbrush is in my pocket."
5-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run. The run ended 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Enforcement is 2 yards further downfield.
Go ahead, finish your story, Brent.
Referee wrecked my story. Bill Cowher said, where's your bag? He said, Coach, I didn't bring a bag. My toothbrush is in my pocket. I came to play football. That's all he brought was his toothbrush.
First down and 10 from the 26. Play action again. McNair on the boot. Throws on the run. Caught on the run. Mason out of bounds. It's a replay. A gain of 16.
Watch Mason out here. He's going to run the deep comeback. Chad Scott's going to go ahead and fall down. Thinks he's going deep. Mason's going deep. You see that bootleg action? He stops. You see him slip and fall right there. Mason on the comeback. Nice job catching the ball with his hands. Looking right in.
Eddie George running, and Eddie George taken down in the backfield. Number 91, Aaron Smith, who's really been coming on. He supplanted Chris Sullivan as the starter on the defensive line, and he comes up with a nice play.
And Bill Cowher told us Aaron Smith's been a very pleasant surprise. Really has been doing a great job. And there's an opportunity for a backup guy to get an opportunity to come in and make some plays, and stepped up to the challenge, and now it looks like it's his job.
Second down goal from the 13-yard line. 3-receiver combination for the Titans. Into the end zone, looking for Sanders. Incomplete. Sanders reaching out. And today he's shown a flair for the spectacular.
And what an amazing effort to reach back. And maybe the Titans go ahead and challenge his call.
And Jeff Fisher looking for his button, the button on his beeper on his belt.
Watch this effort. Go up and grab it and stick. There's one foot, and he didn't have that other foot in bounds right there, so even if he does catch it, and what a heck of a catch. And you can see him go up. What an athletic. That is unbelievable.
He's got 4 catches for 70 yards today.
And with that catch, Randy Moss has nothing on him. Wow.
So a timeout call by the Titans. 13 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. 3-0. 3-0. Tennessee on top of Pittsburgh, and the Titans with a big call right here. Third down and 13. Al Del Greco just waiting for an opportunity to right his wrong. 12th play of the drive that started at the 12. McNair flushed out, in trouble, and he dumps it.
And you know what, Gus? I don't think he was in the pocket. And if he's not out of the pocket, that's intentional grounding. And you see Bill Cowher screaming on the sidelines, where's the intentional grounding? He's halfway onto the field.
And the pocket goes from end to end.
Tight end to tight end. Here's the pocket right here. Let's see. He's got to get, that's a long way outside the hash. Let's see where Steve McNair ends up. It ended up being about 5 or 6 yards out. Oh, but he actually goes outside and comes back in. It's very close. He might have been a yard outside the pocket. So right on the line.
It brings on Al Del Greco. He's made a 21-yarder. He's missed a 24-yarder. And this will be from 31 yards out. 3 of 4 from this distance on the season. Got it away. And it's perfect. 31-yard field goal for Al Del Greco. And the Titans take a 6-0 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the people of Allstate. You're in good hands with Allstate. Intel, get the power of 3. The Intel Pentium 3 processor. And by America's Air Force. No one comes close.
Shot of the Parthenon Museum here in Nashville, where the Titans lead at 6-0 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is Edwards from the 5. Edwards. And he's stopped at the 24. Flag return of 20 yards. Michael Booker defensively for the Titans.
Well, if that's against the Steelers, that's going to be a huge penalty to back him up inside the 20.
Looks like a face mask.
Personal foul, 15-yard face mask, number 33 of the kickers. 15 yards, first down.
Michael Booker, the fourth-year man out of Nebraska.
Watch the number 33, Booker, and it's got to be a very flagrant, intentional one. You know what? I don't think so. That's a 5-yarder.
Well, the general rule is if the head turns, it's a 15-yard penalty.
I think if the guy lets his hand off, he realizes he's got it up there. They usually give it a 5-yarder.
First down from the 40. Jerome Bettis. Bettis, tough running, spins, and is dropped at the 47. Here's Jim Nantz standing by in New York.
Well, here's the story, Gus, in Foxborough. 4th and goal, and J.R. Redmond is in to tie the game with 9 minutes to go. Bills and Pats all square at 10. Let's go back to you.
Doug Flutie returning to his Boston roots, and right now he's in a dogfight.
Watch out for the Patriots in the second half of the year. They're coming together.
2nd and 3 from the 47. Steelers trying to come together on this drive. Draw play, Jerome Bettis with a big hole. Dives forward for the first down. A gain of 5. Very important game for both teams.
And when you talk about both teams, of course, both Tennessee and Pittsburgh would love to win this game. I think it's a must-have for the Steelers. If they lose this and they have 4 losses within the division, 2 to Tennessee, there's no way they're going to win the division. It's going to be tough to be the wild card from the Central this year. Too much battling, too much parity, I think, in the Central. It's going to be awful tough. The Steelers got to win this game.
Baltimore leading Cincinnati today. Bettis again over the left side, spins. Jerome Bettis picks up 1.5 yards. Keith Bullock, Jason Fisk in on the play. And a look at some scores from around the league. Miami thumping Detroit at the Silver Dome today. Indianapolis struggling on the road at Chicago.
The good teams win the games they're supposed to. That Colts team should be winning that game.
2nd down, 8 yards to go from the 46. Kreider, Bettis in the backfield. Stewart. Hit as he throws, incomplete. Randall Godfrey came on the blitz. And Cordell Stewart lucky to get that one off. And right now, Javon Kearse is a little wounded.
Watch Randall Godfrey. Watch him come on the looping stunt. He fakes inside. Watch him come back out around. Cordell Stewart never sees him. Just gets the ball off in time. You see Javon Kearse right there down below. Godfrey ends up landing on him, and he takes a shot. And it's getting ugly down there. Even your own guys are taking shots.
3rd down, 8 from the 46. They need to go to the 37.5. Stewart dumps it off. Bettis with room. Pops it outside. Gets the first down. Jerome Bettis. A gain of 12.
Boy, what a great call. We haven't seen a screen all day from the Pittsburgh Steelers. What a perfect time to go ahead and get it. Cordell Stewart, watch him allow the guys, Kearse and Holmes right in the backfield. Bettis just turns, and Stewart puts the ball in his hands, getting some good blocking downfield. Perfect timing. Titans fell right into that trap.
The bus with a huge first down. 1st and 10 now from the Titans' 34-yard line. Air bus on that play. Stewart, incomplete. Intended for his tight end, Dan Kreider, who snuck out of the backfield. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
And that's something that's a good shot as well, taking a shot out to your fullback. Nobody expects you to use him. We saw him catch a pass in the first quarter. Hasn't done anything since then. Cordell Stewart's numbers today, not fantastic, but he doesn't care. It's about being in the game in the fourth quarter on the road. That's what Bill Cowher told us. Just give us a chance to win. We've got a chance.
They need somebody to step up and come up with a big play. And Javon Kearse jumping off sides. Richard Huntley driving the ball all the way to the 26. A free play there for the Steelers.
Offside, 90 defense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Javon Kearse getting a little anxious right here, going against the tight end Mark Bruner, thinking I got a shot with the tight end block. I mean, just a little too anxious. Started salivating when he saw the tight end was going to pass block him.
Only 3 sacks the entire season for the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Had 14.5 last year. 4.5 at this point last season. 2nd and 5. Bettis. And Bettis tripped up. He gained 1.5 yards. Javon Kearse.
And watch the penetration, Gus. And you talk about his pass rushing abilities, but he's got this speed. He's going to knife inside right here. Look at that. Little lateral play, getting held, still comes off the hole and makes the tackle on the bus. That's a big-time play. And they talk around the league about him being a high motor guy. And he's been having trouble on the sacks this year. He's been using his speed rush. He has to start developing more technique. He's been going just on athletic ability.
3rd down and 6 from the 30. They need to get to the 25. Stewart over the middle, caught! Bruner sprinting towards the end zone, and this game is tied up. A 30-yard touchdown. Cordell Stewart to Mark Bruner. And the Steelers can go ahead right here.
And you're going to watch Perry Phoenix, 35, come on over and try to make the interception. Marcus Robertson actually runs into him, the other safety, and there's no safeties around. And big Mark Bruner turning on some speed down the field.
Last week, Chris Brown missed an extra point. Not this time. The Pittsburgh Steelers take their first lead of the game with 8:27 to go here in the 4th. Cordell Stewart. It ain't pretty, but it's working. Mark Bruner with his first touchdown catch of the season. And the drive, 8 plays, 60 yards. They held it for 4:22, and the Steelers take the 7-6 lead over the Titans. So Chris Brown tees it up. Mason back deep. Here's Mason from the 10. Mason looking for a hole. He's got one, and Mason drilled out of bounds at the 41, but a flag on the play, and it's going against the Titans, and the flag's at the 27.
Boy, we've had some key penalties this second half against the Tennessee Titans. Remember, Jeff Fisher came in at halftime.
During the return, holding 28 of the receiving team. 10 yards, repeat first down.
That's Eric Morris, a backup safety.
And Jeff Fisher said they got to be patient, keep their composure in the second half. Let's go back to this touchdown. Watch Mark Bruner, the tight end, come out here and just run a quick cross route. And then you're going to see a great block downfield by Plexico Burris to spring him. Watch Cordell Stewart. He gets rid of the ball right now. Safeties run into each other. Watch Burris right here. This is unselfish play. That's the difference. And Mark Bruner turns on the speed. And that's the difference.
Titans start at their own 17. Eddie George following his blocks for a nice gain up to the 24-yard line. He picks up 8. Tennessee Titans last game without scoring a touchdown, 1999 versus Miami. Steelers, they've now gone close to 5 games without giving up a touchdown. 2nd and 2 from the 25. Eddie George, nice penetration. Earl Holmes, what a great-looking player.
He has been all over the offensive line for the Titans today. Been in the backfield everywhere.
Steel curtain 2, this is NFL history. Consecutive quarters without allowing a touchdown. The Steelers set the mark in 76, and they're close to it right now. 3rd down and 3 from the 24. Play action. McNair over the middle. Caught by Dyson. Rather Mason. Excuse me. And it's a 10-yard pickup. The Tennessee Titans have won 11 straight games here at Adelphia Coliseum. They don't count a playoff game they won, so that would make it 12. They've never lost in this building. And right now they're on the ropes with 6:30 to go here in the 4th. The longest streak to open up a stadium. Prior to that, it was in Dallas. 1st down from the 35. McNair sacked at the 24-yard line. Jason Gilden. First sack of the game for the Steelers.
And Steve McNair had Derek Mason outside, and it looked like he twisted the wrong way. Step back and set your feet. It looks like he just kind of stopped and didn't decide that he was open enough, and Gilden's right there. There was nobody within 10 yards of Mason. I don't know why McNair didn't throw it.
And that's an 11-yard loss. 2nd and 21. They need to go to the 45 for a 1st down. Over the middle, caught. The tight end Wycheck, triple team, and driven down after catching the ball for a 9-yard gain.
Wow. Frank Wycheck getting hit by the best of them. Earl Holmes, Lee Flowers, Jason Gilden. But Wycheck, you see him sit right down there in the hole. Finds the hole in the zone. Bang! Little Frank Wycheck sandwich for the Steelers. But that's what you have to do. Don't go for all 20 yards. Get 10 back at a time and at least have a chance on 3rd down to pick up that first.
3rd and 11 from the 34. They need to get to the 45. McNair in the pocket. Steps up. Nobody home until Wycheck with the grab. First down Tennessee at the Pittsburgh 39. But a flag all the way back at the 26.
And I think they're going to call hold. And what a tough time to have it after Frank Wycheck combined with Steve McNair for a big clutch play. And it's been all about penalties in the second half.
72 offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
It would have been a 27-yard gain. Penalties killing the Titans. 14 penalties for 115 yards.
Brad Hopkins, 72, the left tackle. Coming back out. You see him get his hands in the twist move right there. And when a guy twists and you got your arms on the back, they're going to call holding every time. And this Titans team has committed crucial penalties here today, but especially in the second half. And when you have 115 penalty yards at home, it's a long day.
3rd and 21. They need to go to the 45. McNair throws it up. Down the field. Incomplete. So the punt team will have to come on the field. Here's Hendrick. Vizmir Yamini, the intended receiver.
And they got Courtney Hawkins back deep. We saw Petit drop one earlier. Bill Cowher taking no chances. He doesn't care if he gets 0 yards on the return. He just wants the ball caught.
So Hendrick stands at the 10-yard line, his 5th punt of the game. That was Chris Jackson. Actually, they were throwing to number 84. Yamini waived this week. Hendrick gets away a beauty. All the way back to the 25-yard line. And Courtney Hawkins is down. A 51-yard punt, a 1-yard return.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM, taking e-business and your business to the next level. And by NASDAQ.com, everything about everything for serious investors.
Bill Cowher on the sideline, and he is trying to motivate his team.
And guys, this is what you call 4-minute offense situation. You need 2 or 3 first downs. Titans only have 1 timeout. Can you hang on to the ball and keep the drive alive with the lead at the end of a game?
First down from the 26. Jerome Bettis. They'll rely on the bus to move the chains, and he gets up to the 30. It's a gain of about 4 yards. John Thornton with the tackle.
And this is a time where you don't necessarily...
Now, after you vote on Tuesday, there's only one place to turn, CBS News, with Dan Rather, Mike Wallace, Ed Bradley and company for complete election night coverage. Experience you can trust, Tuesday on CBS. Second down and 7 from the 29. And somebody on the right side of the Steelers line moved. I think it was Larry Tharp.
Larry Tharp, and you hate to call him on a penalty at this point because he's played such a great game.
Prior to the snap, false start. 71 offense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Big man out of football last year, had to come in and block Javon Curse all year. And you're going to see him jump right here. And Gus, now's the time where you need a heavy dose of Jerome Bettis, maybe even a little naked bootleg. I don't know if the Steelers want to put the ball in the air in this situation.
Second and 12 from the 24. Stewart, bat it down. Randall Godfrey shot the gap and knocked it down.
And that's a case where you don't probably want to put the ball in the air. The clock stops. Watch Godfrey getting some pressure inside. Late on the blitz, getting his hands up right here.
And you wonder why offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride, who's calling the plays, would throw the ball in that situation.
Well, I would just run the ball twice. Even if you don't get the first down, put the game in the hands of your defense. But with the Titans with a lot less time, go with your strength. Your strength isn't throwing the football.
Cordell Stewart drops back in trouble and wisely throws it out of bounds. So with 3:49 to go, Pittsburgh will punt it away. And all season long, Derek Mason has shown a flair for the dramatic. Return to punt 69 yards for a touchdown versus Washington. And he's averaging 13.8 yards per punt return. Miller gets it away. Mason backpedals. Fair catch at the 25. Excellent job by Josh Miller as he delivers a 51-yard punt. Now tonight on 60 Minutes, a letter marked urgent usually means someone is in an urgent need for your money. And no one plays that game better than politicians. 60 Minutes tonight, followed by an all-new episode of Touched by an Angel. Then she was married to an American hero, but not every fairy tale turns out to be a dream come true. Don't miss the incredible true story of Jackie Bouvier, Kennedy Onassis, the CBS miniseries event. It's all here tonight on CBS. Jeff Fisher's team on a 7-game winning streak, which started the second game of the season. Bill Cowher's team after starting 0-3 on a 5-game winning streak. First down and 10 from the 26. McNair to the sideline. Mason And he's wrapped up and written down by Chad Scott at the 39, a gain of 12.
And they can't keep giving Derek Mason too much cushion. They've got to play him a little bit tighter. This is exactly where Bill Cowher wanted his Pittsburgh Steelers team. He wanted his strength, his defense on the field for the last drive of the game, the hottest defense in the National Football League right now on the road. You couldn't ask for anything better if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
First down and 10 from their own 40-yard line. McNair underneath. Mason again at the 45. A gain of 16. Adelphia Coliseum, sellout crowd, 67,000 fans. We'd like to welcome those of you that have watched the Miami-Detroit game right here. The Steelers lead at 7-6. Al Del Greco got the scoring started for the Tennessee Titans with a 21-yarder. He added a 31-yarder, but then Cordell Stewart hit Mark Bruner on a 30-yard touchdown play. And this is where we stand, 7-6. And this was the big play for the Steelers. A short while ago, Stewart to Mark Bruner. He got a great block from Plexico Burress, and that is the only touchdown of the game. However, the Titans, in 2 plays, are down to the Pittsburgh 42-yard line. Second down and 8. Steve McNair cool in the pocket. Here comes the corner blitz. McNair steps up, gets it away. Incomplete. Eddie George just couldn't hold on. But some great improvisation. Steve McNair.
Great job by Steve McNair hitting the check down. You see him go through his reads, step up instead of scrambling. He sees Eddie George, who just turns his head upfield just long enough. You can feel that hole as a receiver. You got to look the ball into your hands. Eddie a little frustrated with that one.
Al Del Greco missed a 24-yard field goal in this game. Where do they need to go to get in his range?
They need to get down right about the 32-yard line, Gus.
It's 3rd and 8 from the 42. They need to go to the 35. McNair flushed out, stops, fires, knocked away. Deshae Townsend, great play, but a flag on the play.
And Derek Mason was screaming that his jersey was being held. And I don't know if it was Chad Scott or Earl Holmes. They were both down there. Maybe his arm was being grabbed. And I actually... Now, right now, the Steelers are saying the ball was deflected before he was held. That's going to be the call by the officials. Was the ball deflected before his arm was grabbed by Chad Scott? And that's what they're talking about right now.
The ball was tipped. There is no foul on the play.
And that's
big break for the Steelers.
That's exactly what they were looking at, and I think that is the right call. Here's Mason and Scott on the left side of your screen. Watch when the deflection occurs right here. There's the deflection, and then you see Chad Scott getting his arm right there, right around Derek Mason. And I think the officials stepped up and made the correct call.
Jeff Fisher, livid on the sideline, headset off. And the Titans will have to go right now. 4th down and 8 from the 42. They need to go to the 35 for a first down.
And Gus, all day Frank Wycheck's done nothing but catch first downs.
And the Titans call a timeout.
A 30-second timeout.
Rather, Pittsburgh calls a 30-second timeout. Now coming next, Game 2 of our doubleheader featuring the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets, or the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Oakland Raiders. That's next here on CBS. 2 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Steelers on top 7-6. And I believe Jeff Fisher is still arguing the call. The tip ball call. Al Del Greco on the sideline, and you know he's thinking about that missed 24-yarder.
Darn right he is.
In the third quarter, for those of you just joining us, after a 70-yard drive, Del Greco pushes this field goal to the right.
And that really took the steam out of the Titans because they just manhandled the Steelers defense all the way downfield the only time during the day. And here, this big fourth down, Gus. Look for Mason or Wycheck. They're the guys who have been making it happen all day in the passing game for the Titans.
Fourth down and 8. Out of the gun. Over the middle. Mason at the 25. A 17-yard gain, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. They're on their feet in the Music City.
Fourth down, watch the blitz from the left side of your screen. Great job by the Titans offensive line, giving Steve McNair time to step up and throw the ball. Frank Wycheck coming underneath, clearing out the zone. Here comes Derek Mason sitting in the hole. Nice big-time throw by Steve McNair. Big-time catch by Mason, who a lot of people think during the first half of the season, Gus, has been the MVP here for the Titans.
8 catches, 92 yards for Mason. First down from the Pittsburgh 25. Eddie George. A 12-yard gain for Eddie George, and the clock keeps running.
And you talk about running downhill. Watch Eddie George hit this hole. He's in fourth gear right now, lowering his shoulder, keeping that balance, bouncing off the turf. And that brought him over 100. And Gus, I don't think there's any way Al Del Greco is going to miss another chip shot. But right now, Eddie George might get into the end zone the way he's running the ball.
First down from the 14. George again. And he's down. At the 14-yard line, he got back to the line of scrimmage. 1:07 to go. Pittsburgh with 1 timeout left. Del Greco, he is ready to get into the game.
And right now, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, you got to strip the ball. No matter who's got the ball, Eddie George, no matter who's got it, you got to grab that ball. You got to go for the ball.
When do you call timeout, Brent?
One's not going to matter at this point, Gus.
Steve McNair, straight ahead. And the Titans getting in position for this field goal. The clock's still running.
And Gus, I think they're just going to run it all the way down to 5 seconds and take the shot. Some people say sometimes you should kick it on third down in case there's a bad snap. I've never seen it happen in my career.
Tennessee, their third and final charge team timeout. This is a 30-second timeout.
Al Del Greco, 8th place on the all-time scoring list in the NFL. He missed a 24-yarder, nailed a 21-yarder, and this will be for the game.
And the one he missed, he pushed right. I was watching him in pregame warm-ups.
You said he pushed about 8 of them right.
Probably 5 or 6. He wasn't coming all the way through, just kind of leaving it out there. Just like a golf swing, you got to follow through, but I don't think there's any way Al Del Greco misses 2 chip shots in one game.
Del Greco, 17 years in the National Football League, 38 years old.
And how about the Steeler defense that has played almost a perfect game until this last drive? Right where Bill Cowher wanted him. The lead with your defense on the field.
This from 30 yards. The Titans have never lost in this building. And Coach Cowher and the Steelers decide to call a timeout and make Del Greco think about it a little bit. Don't forget, coming up next, the NFL rolls on here on CBS. Denver at the New York Jets or Kansas City at Oakland. Is there any strategy in this situation?
Well, you just saw it right there. Steelers saved that last time out to try to freeze Del Greco. Now, usually that wouldn't freeze a veteran kicker like Al Del Greco. But since he's already missed a chip shot today, I'm sure that's running through his mind. I think that's what Bill Cowher was thinking. He's missed one. Let's let him think about it just a little bit longer. And Gus, the other opportunity is a lot of times you can get a block if you can pull a guy down through that gap and shoot another guy through. Sometimes outside, watch to see if the Steelers try to pull down and shoot somebody through. It's illegal if you do it, but sometimes the officials don't catch it. And in this do or die situation, what do you have to lose?
Somebody has to step up and make a huge play for the Steelers defense if they're going to win this game.
And watch.
So Del Greco lines it up. Hendrick is holder. Matthews the snapper. It's down, up, and good. And the Tennessee Titans take a 9-7 lead with 4 seconds to go. Unofficially, a 29-yard field goal for Al Del Greco.
Watch Dwayne Washington coming from the right side of your screen. Just a half an arm short. Got back there. Del Greco got it off, put it right down the middle.
So it looks like Coach Fisher and the Titans will remain undefeated here in Nashville. On the other sideline, Bill Cowher. Heartbreaking to see that ball go through the uprights.
And all week, both teams said it was going to be a slugfest, decided in the fourth quarter. That's what Bill Cowher had said to us. He just wants to be in position to win. And the Steelers were in position to win. The
executive producers of the NFL on CBS, Sean McManus and Terry Ewert. Today's game produced by Robert Herman Monsbach, directed by Steve Milton. So Hendrick lines it up. Line drive kick. Steelers need a miracle. Bobby Shaw throws it back to Hines Ward. Ward drops the ball. It's picked up, and that's the game. Well, it's still alive. And that's the game. The Tennessee Titans reach deep down and come up with a 9-7 win. So for Brent Jones and Marcus Allen, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Nashville, where the final score is Tennessee 9, Pittsburgh 7. Coming up next, stay tuned for Game 2 of our doubleheader, where you will see the Broncos at the Jets or the Chiefs take on the Raiders. Del Greco, the star. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 35. Jim Nantz after this break.